Hey friends, Carmel Holt here. As you know, times are tough for public radio and audio. And as a tiny independent feminist production company that makes SHEROES for public radio and for this podcast, we're getting hit pretty hard with financial shortfalls. Simultaneously, this is a moment where women, trans folks, non-binary, and queer folks need a safe space to be heard. And at SHEROES, we're more committed than ever before to our mission of turning up the volume of underrepresented voices in music. But to keep going, I need your help. And I have big news. SHEROES has partnered with the nonprofit AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio. You can text SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR or visit SHEROESradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme-queer-produced audio and storytelling like the episode that you're about to enjoy. It's up to us whose voices get heard, and with your help, we'll keep turning up the volume.
I feel like it's never been more crucial to be a hard-headed woman, to be the squeaky wheel, and to say, this isn't right. This is not a case of Democratic or Republican. We are losing democracy. We are losing our right to protest. We're even losing our right to free speech. They want everybody to just fall in line. And I think that when we look back on this time, we're going to see the people that were silent, that were not allies, that were just complacent in all of this. And it's going to be embarrassing. So I love seeing people like Charlie Crockett speaking out and seeing people like Tyler Childers and Jesse Wells. And there's some really wonderful men out there that are allies. So shout out to them too, because we need them.
That was Margo Price, and this is SHEROES, a weekly podcast that amplifies women, non-binary, and gender-expansive voices in music across genres and generations. We believe that sharing our stories is the first step to making music better for everyone. I'm Carmel Holt. Back in 1958, a then 21-year-old Wanda Jackson, who became known both as the Queen of Rockabilly and one of the first women to make a career in rock and roll, covered this song, which was first recorded by Elvis, turning it from a cautionary tale about women to something much more empowering. It's wild to think that 25 years later, Margo Price would be born, and then as a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, she'd sing that song, planting the seeds for not only some of Margo's musical DNA, but also that rebellious and feminist spirit. And over 65 years after Wanda Jackson gave Hard Headed Woman a feminine twist, Margo Price has taken that mantle for her newest album, which was released in August of last year and nominated for 2 Grammys in February of this year. An incredibly gifted singer and songwriter now based in Nashville, Margo has always been outspoken on political and social issues and has proudly carried the torch of feminist country artists and outlaw country that have come before, even as she's explored other sonic landscapes like her last album, the psychedelic rock-leaning 2023 double album, Strays and Strays 2, which came out just months after the release of her excellent 2022 memoir, Maybe We'll Make It. This March, as we celebrate Women's History Month with a backdrop of ongoing mass reckoning with misogyny, sexism, and loss of women's rights, it will be the 10th anniversary of her debut album, Midwest Farmer's Daughter. In other words, a perfect time for Margo Price to reconnect with her roots and reclaim and redefine once again the power of being a hard-headed woman. I caught up with Margo at the historic Utopia Studios in Woodstock, New York, as she and her new band passed through on her current Wild at Heart tour. I'm so thrilled to welcome back Margo Price as this week's Shero in the Spotlight. Margo Price, welcome back to SHEROES. I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you again, too.
We have a lot to catch up on because it's been since 2023 since we've spoken. Fill me in, how did it all go with Strays? Pretty well, huh?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun touring that album and still immensely proud of that album in that time period.
And now we have Hard Headed Woman, which has been out for a minute, 6 months or so.
Yeah, it's a return, but it's also a way forward. And yeah, the 5th chapter in my great American novel.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean it's a return and a way forward?
Well, I had so much fun, doing the psychedelic double drums and really making a lot of noise and going all the way to outer space. But I always go back to this thing that Bjork said a long time ago, that like every artist has like their home planet, and you can go to other planets and visit them and do things there. But, you know, eventually you kind of got to come back home. And I think that's where I found myself. I just really wanted to focus on the songwriting aspect of things and storytelling and strip things back as well, just on stage. So I've got a different band out. Although I made the last record with my band, the Price Tags, and we recorded Hard Headed Woman in the most historic studio in Nashville that was almost torn down like a decade ago in RCAA.
Amazing.
And just had a blast doing it. And yeah, I was nominated for a couple Grammys, and it's been a great year.
So good. And you reunited with your old producer as well, right?
Yes, Matt Ross Spang is such a just a calming presence. He always finds a way to get everybody, like, I don't know, out of our heads, which I think, you know, you go in the studio sometimes, and even if you've done pre-production and you've woodshedded a bunch of stuff, there still is more to do. And also, I think, you know, my band, the Price Tags, and we'd been together for so long, and there was a lot of like band dynamics and things that were happening. And Matt was really able to kind of be not only our producer, but our therapist, and help us just focus on the music and make the best record we could, no matter what we were all going through personally.
Well, let's dive in to a song. If you were going to set up Hard Headed Woman for somebody that was like coming in super fresh, like would you start them at the very top, or would you go somewhere deeper in the record to introduce it to them?
This is very much like a thought out, mapped out record. So I would start them at the very beginning. I think we lose so much of the full album listening experience these days.
Yeah.
And I added that like kind of prelude on the beginning of it, which is just like a manifesto setting up the record. And Hard Headed Woman too. I mean, like, I should, you know, shout out Wanda Jackson, because I grew up singing that song. And also Cat Stevens has a song called Hard Headed Woman. But the origins of that phrase, they go back all the way to the Bible. And in the Bible, being a hard-headed woman is not something you want to be. And I've taken it back. I'm a hard-headed woman.
So that's track one. It opens Hard Headed Woman. I guess you could call this the title track, right?
Yeah. And honestly, it was bridged together with Bastards. Those songs used to be one, and we had a little like interlude, so they were connected. But then when we started doing the sequencing, we're like, oh, maybe we'll make them separate. But every night we play Hard Headed Woman straight into Bastards.
So with Jeremy, your husband, your musical partner, like how have things evolved over the years? And now that you're going back to your roots, how have you evolved your writing practice together, if at all?
Yeah, I think, you know, he remains my number one collaborator, and it's kind of like, he's not on the road with me right now. He came out for some shows. He was in New York and DC, and we got to sing a couple really meaningful songs that, you know, he had written. I had written some Bob Dylan, Joan Baez duets that we kind of do. But he's kind of like Brian Wilson, where he's like at home, he's like still part of the band, but he's at home, he's writing, he's putting out his own records as well right now. And he's always sending me stuff on the road, and we're always trying to find any time that we can to work together. Even one time we were on a family vacation, and he had started writing Pitcher, which is a track from this record, and our kids were playing on the beach, and we just sat there and we wrote the song while the children were playing on the beach. And yeah, I'm really lucky for his creative brain, and he's always, because it does get hard, you know, it gets grueling out here. Like I said, I was up at 4 a.m. crossing the border, and I do this VIP meet and greet and everything, and he always keeps me really grounded and reminds me to pick up the guitar and write, journal. I'm writing another book, always trying to be doing that.
You're such a good writer. Maybe We'll Make It was one of my favorite reads of 2022. I love it so much, and I recommend it all the time. Did it just come out on paperback?
Yeah.
Congratulations on that, too.
I'm on paperback now. And
So
there's
amazing.
also an Audible version that I feel
Hell
like
yeah.
a lot of people don't know about, but it has unreleased music, and it has like early demos, like me singing at like the age of 20, which is wild.
And also just thinking about like how this is getting back to your roots and your history with Jeremy. It just all feels like, I don't know, just so sweet, like you brought it all full circle. And maybe that's what you meant about also looking to the future.
Yeah, I think I had to remind myself. I feel like I always have to remind myself like why I'm doing this, because you can just get so lost in thinking that other things are important. And I want to stay grounded and stay close to who I was even 20 years ago, even if I've changed a lot, like remembering like why I got into this. I love to sing. I love to tell stories. And I think just in American culture, we are always so obsessed with the next goal.
Totally.
Is your career big enough? Mm-hmm. Is your life big enough? We need more, more, more. I'm like, no, I want less. And what I have, I want to be meaningful. And yeah, I just had to bring myself back down to earth a little bit.
So did you and Jeremy have any kind of a conversation like, okay, for this next one, here's what we're going to do?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to kind of get back to the rooted like sounds, folk, blues, country, all of that. But part of it started because I had a friend that was making a film that was loosely based on my life. And he was like, I want you to write a bunch of country songs for this movie. And he had a script, and it was like kind of me, but it was not. And then of course, like, you know how films go, like people can't get funding. And like, it was a really cool story. There was like an older character too, that was a washed up songwriter, and she like drove a limo, and he had some really incredible actresses that were like maybe even willing to play that role. But anyway, I started writing songs for that with that in mind. And so that kind of brought me back to writing in this style again. Yeah, then I was kind of like, no, I am going to make a country record again. Like, I think I had stepped away from it for a good 3-4 years. And I think I stepped away from it partially for my mental health, also just partially because I wanted to stay inspired. And I've always loved so many different types of music. Like, I've been in rock bands, I've been in soul bands. I like used to listen to a lot of blues and like folk music. So yeah, I never want to limit myself, and I never want to say like, oh, I'm not going to make another cool psychedelic rock record again, or, you know, whatever I want to do. Do what inspires me at the time.
And that's one of the things we love about you. And the fact that you can occupy all those spaces so well and authentically, you know.
Thanks.
But it is great to hear you back in this kind of roots way, you know, especially following the book. And now is the 10th anniversary of your debut album.
It's
I mean,
wild.
like literally in a few weeks, like March 25th.
March 25th.
Yeah.
Yeah, Midwest Farmer's Daughter, 10-year. It's just...
Happy birthday to that baby.
I know, I can't believe it. And I think back to that time, I'm like, wow, I was so young and I thought I was so old.
Could you draw a line from Midwest Farmer's Daughter musically to one of these songs? Or is it maybe all of them? I don't know.
Absolutely. No, I feel like there's like sister songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like Hands of Time and Nowhere's Where. I'm really proud of Nowhere's Where. And it's like a lot of times the deep album cuts, those songs mean the most to me. You know, the songs that don't end up like being the singles. And then you've got like 4 years of Chances, and then I Just Don't Give a Damn. Let's see what else. But then like Red Eye Flight, Jeremy and I wrote, and then Rodney Crowell kind of helped us really refine it. That's like a song that we've never been able to write. And I was always just covering like, you know, Ooh Las Vegas, or like do like Graham Parsons, like California Country, or, you know, Ain't Living Long Like This was a song of Rodney Crowell's that I covered forever. And I was like, we need a barn burner. We need a really up-tempo song. Yeah. And so... yeah, that one's kind of singular, but definitely like, and I think Don't Let the Bastards Get You Down and like Hurtin' on the Bottle, like they have like similar vibes.
Oh my God. Okay, let's play a pair of clips side by side, right? Dealer's choice. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, let's do Hands of Time and Nowhere's Where.
Yeah.
Till the highway stops and the wheels fall off and the engine runs.
We have Margo Price with us here on SHEROES, and we just did a beautiful pairing of clips of Hands of Time and Nowhere's Where. We were talking about how these songs are sister songs because we're talking about the 10th anniversary of Midwest Farmer's Daughter. I have a very, very vivid memory, Margo, of when this record came out. One of the things that makes my job like so fulfilling is to be able to follow a career like yours and like to watch you grow and to connect with all of your heroes and sheroes. Like you're talking about like, oh yeah, Rodney Crowell and Emmylou Harris. And I know there's a Chris Christopherson moment on this record. And I think about how literally a few years ago you got to, sing Me and Bobby McGee.
I mean, I sang it with
at
Bob
Newport.
Weir too.
Yep.
I've been so lucky to get to really meet a lot of people from that generation that I obsess over. That in my head, I live in the 60s and 70s, and being able to like hang with like Joan Baez, Bonnie Raitt, Linda Ronstadt, Roseanne Cash, Lucinda Williams,
Forever Shero,
Gillian Welsh. I mean, it's insane. Like younger me would never even fathom this happening. Yeah, it's really been a wild ride.
It's been a wild ride, and it continues to be. So what would you say you've gained from getting that kind of contact, especially your sheroes? How has that helped you? How's that galvanized you? What have you gotten from that?
Definitely going through this business, it's a lot of ups and downs. It's a lot of like, trying not to second guess yourself and being able to be in the presence of these matriarchs. Like it's calmed my nervous system at times, just being able to kind of like talk to them like, oh, you went through this too. And I think like seeing them all really closely forging these friendships and being like tight with each other instead of being competitive, like that is such a lesson. And I really try to stay in touch with not only them, but, people my own age and like reaching out and supporting. And even if we don't get a tour together, like having a phone call and just checking in on people's mental health. Like, how are you doing? Gets lonely out here sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, do you find that the world that you work in is still pretty male dominated, or have you seen that shift since you started out?
I think they were trying to make things a little bit more even a while ago when it comes to like festival billing, and you don't even get me started on equal pay. But I think that we're seeing a real regression right now in not only just the musical world, but in the world at large. And, women don't need to make ourselves smaller. We don't need to follow any of the trends that are happening right now. And I think we all just need to remember that we are not competition. It's so easy to try to pit people against each other because then if we're divided, So I love this site, Book More Women. I follow them.
Shout out Abby.
And yes, and it's like the other day they just kind of put up some really disappointing percentages. And I think we've got a long way to go. But women really are making some of the best music right now. And there's so many up-and-coming singer-songwriters that I love and adore. Meals is out with me right now. I just love her whimsy and her own world that she's built. I just recently wrote a song with Carter Faith. I love her album Cherry Valley. I love, of course, Sierra Farrell. Her and I keep in touch. Spoke on the phone a couple weeks ago. It was nice to hear from a friend. So yeah, I think women are making the best records right now, and maybe that's just intimidating to boys.
Yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about bro country. What a moment to put out a record and to be out on tour talking about Hard Headed Woman.
I mean, where I live in Tennessee, women do not have equal rights. We've gone back in time. I just saw a couple Republican congressmen. They were trying to impose the death penalty for abortion. And there's women that are being denied care in Tennessee. Tennessee has the highest maternal mortality rate. And I feel like it's never been more crucial to be a hard-headed woman, to be the squeaky wheel.
Yes.
And to say, this isn't right. This is not a case of Democratic or Republican. We are losing democracy. We are losing our right to protest. We're even losing our right to free speech. They want everybody to just fall in line. And I think that when we look back on this time, we're going to see the people that were silent, that were not allies, that were just, complacent in all of this. and it's going to be embarrassing. So I love seeing people like Charlie Crockett speaking out and seeing people like, Tyler Childers, who I've got to collaborate with, and Jesse Wells. And there's some really wonderful men out there that are
allies.
Yeah. So shout out to them too, because
We
we need them.
We need them. Speaking of, do you want to choose a track? That was such a good segue. I love that.
Yeah, let's do Don't Wake Me Up featuring Jesse Wells.
Anything you want to tell us about this song before we get into it?
This song was something that I wrote. I was reading a poet named Frank Stanford, and Lucinda Williams was obsessed with him for years. He sadly committed suicide a long time ago. Lucinda wrote a song about him called Pineola. But I found him through Third Man Books. They'd published a bunch of his poetry. I wrote a poem. I set it down in my notebook, forgot all about it. A couple years later, Jeremy, my husband, is going through my notebook and he's like, this is so good. And so he gets the guitar out and we wrote that song in 5 minutes. And yeah, we play it every night. It feels very pertinent when I say, dream away the politician screaming on my television.
We have Margo Price with us on SHEROES. That is track 4, Don't Wake Me Up, featuring Jesse Wells, who's having quite a moment right now. My goodness.
Yes, much deserved. I love him.
What kinds of things did you do, if anything, to get yourself back in the headspace of writing songs like this?
I definitely was exploring a lot of albums and doing a lot of listening. I also was listening to a podcast called Cocaine and Rhinestones.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
Yeah, that my buddy Tyler Mahan puts out. And yeah, I got really back into just listening to country music again. I had seriously hung it up.
I wanted to talk about some of the topics related to being a hard-headed woman. You've never not been outspoken on so many things. Has that ever been a challenge for you?
100%. Things would be so much easier if I just shut my mouth and, I don't know, tried to look pretty or something. I think there's been times where I've even questioned, have I made the right decision? Have I been too polarizing? Could I have went about this in another way? Or America is so divided right now. It's really heartbreaking because I think if we all just realize that all of the powers that be for the beginning of time have been, parts of secret societies, and it's just been the same bullshit being passed down and passed down.
Yeah.
And if we could stop arguing with each other, and we could just overthrow the government already. So yeah, there's definitely been times where I've thought oh, maybe I should have done something differently. But at the end of the day, especially where we're at right now, I've been speaking out against Trump, against that administration for 10 years, really right when my album dropped. And I have no regrets about it because have you read the Epstein files? God, what are we not? Is everybody not outraged? If you haven't read it, go read it. Go look at the names. I don't care if there's Democrats on there. I don't care if they're Republicans. They all need to be held accountable.
And he needs to be held accountable, 100%. By the way.
Trump's a pedophile, and I think he's the Antichrist. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this shit, but I think that we are at such a crucial point in our democracy. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, I sleep pretty well. I'm paying my bills.
Totally. Hear, hear. I just wondered whether stylistically where your music has gone, if there was any correlation there between occupying spaces that were less conservative than country music in terms of audience, in terms of sound, history, whatever. You're stepping into psychedelic, more rock spaces that has a long, proud history of being outspoken and protest music, folk music, protest music, country music.
I was raised with this duality though of I had actually one side of my family was on the right, one side of my family was on the left. My grandparents all listened to country music, but they weren't all Republican by any
Right.
means, you know.
Right.
Some of them were. And I think that, I don't know, people are complex. I don't always think it's black and white. I think a lot of times that musical genres try to be owned by a political party.
Yeah.
No one can own any kind of musical genre. Anybody can sing whatever they want from it. But yeah, I'm definitely drawn to like, you know, Loretta Lynn, like feminist country songs.
Yes.
I'm drawn to, you know, Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 and just all of the roots of the rebellious kind of nature. And that's on both sides.
What about your role in terms of representation now? You are not only a quote unquote woman in music, woman in country, a mother. What kinds of things do you wrestle with or not wrestle with in that framework of how you present and all of these other things that you're carrying on your shoulders? Women, we're carrying so many things on our shoulders.
Women Holding Things. There's
Yes.
an Instagram page. I
Yes.
think it's called
Women Holding Things.
And
Yes.
every night when we're walking out of the music venue, I've got like a million things.
Yeah.
I'm like, women are carrying the weight of the world.
Yes.
I think it's complex. It's
Yeah.
stuff I talk about with my therapist, honestly, because I always go back and forth between not wanting to give a single fuck. Can I say that?
You can. Totally.
Or, you know, also being like, well, you've got to kind of, even for just like, you know, being ousted from a community, like in the olden days, that
Yeah.
meant you were going to die. So
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
this like part of me that, and I think my whole life I've been trying to kind of mask as like a normal person, you know, walking around. And it's not that easy. I definitely look to women who are aging radically, like Joni Mitchell and Patti Smith,
Yes.
like Isabella Rossellini, and like total badasses where I'm like, okay, it's super cool. You are aging. It is rebellious. And it's something I'm kind of like even going through like in real time because I
Yeah.
am like 42.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's either, you know, start injecting my face with things or get the facelift or what, all of this, or just age naturally. Like, why do women feel like they cannot do what we're just put on earth to do? And it's really hard. And I think everything that is coming out with the Epstein files and stuff, that is kind of changing my perspective even in real time right now.
I know.
It's happening because, and I have had Botox and I've been pretty open about, you know, even having plastic surgery. And I think that was a thing that was polarizing to some people. They were like, why are you telling anybody? And I'm like, because girls need to know
Yes.
that you don't just look like this. You don't just wake up and just look fabulous. There's a whole team of people here putting us all together. And I mean, shit, it's really hard. And now we've got Photoshop and we've got AI and you don't even know what's real. So I think it's really liberating to see, like I said, people like Patti Smith. She still is like my light in the dark there sometimes when I'm
Fuck yeah.
struggling.
I know. Thank you for opening up, and I hope that wasn't too personal.
God,
but
not at all.
I just feel like these are the things that I really like mostly want to talk about these days, especially in light of the whole Epstein thing, because I'm like, oh my God, right? Like we are given this major opportunity right now to unpack why. Why are we the target of so much messaging that tells us we're not allowed to age?
Dude, plastic surgery is at an all-time high. And I even feel like I've been like fallen into the trap of that before, you know? Some days it's just tough to wake up and be a woman and you have to always walk that line. And I don't know. I think everybody needs to give themselves some grace these days.
Is Nashville and country music, is that a world that feels like it has additional pressures when it comes to how women are supposed to look, or no?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's even just like one kind of, you know, a lot of times if you have hair and makeup person come, they're going to just like do the same kind of treatment on everybody. And, you know, I don't have veneers. I've kept my natural teeth, which is like no shame to anybody. Everybody should be able to do whatever whatever they want to their own body without
Yes.
being judged,
Yeah.
without being shamed. But we also have to know that we are being influenced by marketing,
Yes.
by culture, by a society that tells us we have to fit in this certain box. And really, it's just everybody wants your money.
So
And
true.
I've paid people a lot of money. Like Dolly Parton says, it costs a lot of money to look this cheap, you know? Like, I had twins. I had a tummy tuck. Like, I've had plenty of things done. And some of them, I'm like, oh, that was nice. I did that for myself that I could. But I also just feel like, yeah, Nashville, I am trying to stand out in a sea of blonde girls. And I think for me, it's easy to stand out because of where I stand politically. It's like, oh, she's the woke country girl. She's the lefty or whatever, you know. I'm like, dude, I'm way farther out than that.
God bless you, Margo Price. She's with us on SHEROES, and the new album is Hard Headed Woman. The Wild at Heart tour is in progress. Why don't we play another song? My favorite song on this album is Keep a Picture.
Oh, thank you. That's the one we wrote on the beach.
I love this song so
Yeah,
much, and I just
thank
wanted to
you.
make sure that we played it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to tell us about the story of this song, lyrically?
Yeah, this is, you know, it's funny when you're writing a song with somebody. Jeremy and I have known each other for 22 years. And I know it's insane. And I think that, you know, sometimes we write things that are subliminally about each other, but we never quite. It's our weird therapy. But yeah, it's really just about somebody that you wish you still had in your life. And that can even just be like an older version of you who's not around anymore.
I keep a picture of you, and it never fades. Keep a picture, baby, since I can't have you.
Let's keep a picture. My personal favorite on the new Margo Price. Thank you for indulging me, by the
Thank
way.
you. We're going to play that live tonight.
Margo Price, Hard Headed Woman. It's her. Now, wait, I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly because we could call this album 6.
Right? Because I had the live album.
And then it would be 7 because it would be Strays and Strays 2. Do you
that's
count
right.
those? Do you count those as
I know,
one?
it's hard to say. I feel like there's so many other records I made too. Like I made another live album that Third Man Collectors would have. It came out in their vault. We recorded it the night after Trump was elected in Washington, D.C.
Whoa.
It's called Live at the Hamilton. And just like endless, they made another live album that was on cassette at the VFW. And then prior to making these, 5 studio albums, many live albums, I had a million other studio albums under my name, under band names. So, I mean, I'm not as prolific as Willie Nelson. I mean, Jesus, nobody is. But I've made a lot of records.
You've made a lot of records. So I guess the count is like kind of irrelevant. It's
Yeah,
just like,
totally.
whatever. This is the 5th.
I could probably count how many people I've slept with easier than I could count how many records I've made.
Love it. Oh my God. Oh, that's so good. Speaking of Willie Nelson, I just also want to shout out, I don't know if we talked about this last time, that you're the first woman to be on the board of Farm Aid.
Yes.
That is so baller. It's so fucking cool.
It's amazing to get to sit next to Neil Young and Willie and John Mellencamp and Dave Matthews. I mean, yeah, sometimes we'll do like a board meeting and, you know, I've done conference calls with all of them. I've done Zoom call. It's like when I'm having a Zoom call with Neil Young.
Oh
Like,
my God.
It's insane.
It's insane. So I have to ask, when you're in those situations, you've made it to this level, you have a literal seat at the table. How do you feel? Like, are you able to push your own opinions and agenda there, or is it intimidating?
No, I feel heard for sure. They want to know, you know, they want to keep young artists, like they want to keep their finger on the pulse of what's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very much like, people suggest things and then it has to get voted through. So like you can say whatever you want, but like, you know, to get the votes and stuff is a different thing. And we just brought on Nathaniel Rateliff, who has been a supporter of Farm Aid even longer than I have been going there. I've been there for like 10 years now. And yeah, we we voted him in on the board. But yeah, it's got to be approved. So yeah, it's definitely intimidating, but it's important work, and I'm grateful to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, you're the only woman in the room, right?
Well, so
or are there other women?
The thing that everybody should know is that all the people working behind the scenes, the majority of them are women.
No way.
Yes, that board is really run by so many smart women. And Annie Nelson is also on the board.
Oh, okay. That's Willie's
daughter,
wife, right?
Lana Nelson. Yeah, me and Annie came in the same year. Okay. So I'm the first female musician board member. But yeah, Lana Nelson, one of Willie's daughters, she's in there. And then Caroline and Jennifer and all the women of Farm Aid, they're making it happen. They're working really hard there. Yeah, there's just a ton of female energy there.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear. Because we need more women in those roles. You know, we need more women at the top, and definitely in studio settings and behind the boards.
Yes.
Man, oh man, are we still falling behind there. Have you seen any change in that regard? I know that you had a mastering engineer on this record that's a woman who I hadn't heard of before. Kim Rosen at NAC.
Kim Rosen. Yes, Kim was phenomenal to work with. We actually taste tested 3 different mastering because my label wanted someone to master, and actually Matt had picked Kim. You know, mastering is it's a really important step of the record, and we loved Kim's version the best, and so she mastered the whole record. I just was in LA for the Grammys, and there was an incredible award show that happened the Tuesday prior to the Grammys. It's called Moving the Needle.
We are moving the needle.
The Resonator Awards. It's so cool. There was unmatched level of talent there. Everybody from Chaka Khan to Joni Mitchell, St. Vincent, Olivia Rodrigo, Doechii. It was incredible. And I think that we have to really work on getting more women in the studio. It's so important. And Emily Lazar, who is obviously brilliant, also mastering engineer, she started this whole thing, and it was low-key my favorite event of the week.
It was a major, major deal. My friend Bella Blasco, who's a mix engineer, was honored that night.
Nice.
I just met with her yesterday. She was telling me all about it. And she's just the feeling in that room is indescribable because we are often so isolated. It's still so unusual for us all to be together.
Yes.
And to honor people that are behind the boards making it happen is even more unusual.
Gina Johnson.
Yeah.
I've worked with her. She is phenomenal. And yeah, it was a really special night. We need more of that.
For sure. Well, this is a great segue into the final question of our time together, which has sped by so fast, too fast. We do a SHEROES Magic Wand wish at the end, where I hand you, Margo Price, an imaginary magic wand. You can wave this magic wand and make any change that you want to see in the music industry for women, non-binary, queer folks, anyone who still doesn't have an equal platform or an equal seat at the table.
Man, I will say equal pay, equal billing, and just while I'm at it, I would like to give women our reproductive rights back too. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. May it be
While we're at it. Yeah.
Thank you, as always, for being
so
the
much.
fucking best. How should we go out? Let's pick a final track.
Ooh, yeah, one last song.
Yeah.
How about Kissing You Goodbye?
Love it.
This is a song that I found in Waylon Jennings' suitcase. It was gifted to me by Jessie Coulter, who I made an album for 7 years ago. She's the queen of outlaw country. And she said, I'm too old to do this song, but you need to do it. And it was in Waylon's suitcase. She said it was inspired by his drug dealer / lawyer's ex-wife.
Wow.
So get your tongue out of my mouth. I'm kissing you goodbye.
Learn to turn the other cheek is not out of my mouth. I'm kissing you goodbye.
With thanks to Margo Price. Thanks for coming back to SHEROES.
Thank you for having me.
Many thanks to Margo Price for being with us. Hard Headed Woman is out now on Loma Vista Recordings. Catch Margo out on tour now. Dates and tickets at margoprice.net. Special thanks to Pete Kagan and Utopia Studios in Woodstock, New York for the generous use of their studio. SHEROES is produced by me, is mixed and mastered by Kelly Drake. Our original theme music is by Lucius. Our podcast is distributed by Talkhouse. SHEROES is also a nationally syndicated radio show. Please visit SHEROESradio.com to find out more. Keep in touch on Instagram at SHEROES Radio, and please consider leaving us a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also subscribe to our new YouTube channel, SHEROES Productions. SHEROES is 100% independent and is made possible through the support of our public radio affiliates and now listeners like you. Through a new partnership with the nonprofit AIR, the Association of Independents in Radio, we've launched our very first fundraising campaign. Text SHEROES to 53555. That's SHEROES to 53555 to make a tax-deductible donation through AIR or visit SHEROESradio.com. Thank you for supporting independent, femme, and queer-produced audio and storytelling. And until next time, remember, music is our superpower. I'm Carmel Holt. Thanks for listening. Also from SHEROES Productions, take a journey on the road to Joni, an Ambie Award-nominated 10-episode series celebrating the legacy and impact of Joni Mitchell. Distributed by Talkhouse. Subscribe now to The Road to Joni wherever you get your podcasts.